Okay, picture this for a second. Just imagine a world with absolutely no music, no rhythm, no beat, nothing, just silence. That's all anyone knows until this one figure shows up, mysterious, and strikes a drum, just a thump. But it's a sound that apparently sets humanity off on this path. Towards joy, yeah, but also, kind of shockingly, towards destruction. So the big question is, was music, meant as a gift? Or was it actually, right from the start, some kind of trap? And how did early humans get caught up in desires, rebellion, all sparked by a sound? Today, we're doing a deep dive into this really ancient story, and honestly, it might just change how you think about your own playlist, maybe even your impulses. Seriously, our mission here is to unpack this fascinating narrative. It suggests music, entertainment. They were introduced deliberately, allegedly by Shaytan, that's the Arabic term for the tempter, the devil figure, introduced as tools, to manipulate our desires. But this isn't just some dusty old legend we're talking about. We're asking bigger questions, like, is entertainment really harmless? How much does sound actually affect our emotions, our behavior? And maybe most importantly, can we see echoes of this ancient setup, this manipulation in today's world? Pop culture, social media, even nightlife. Stick around, because we're going to connect some ancient ideas with some pretty modern science. All right, let's get into it. We need to go way, way back. Think dawn of humanity stuff. According to some classical Islamic narrations, there are these two distinct groups. Descendants of Adam's children. One group, the men were apparently very handsome, but the women less striking. And the other group, kind of the opposite. Men less attractive, but the women were, well, remarkably beautiful.
And the interesting part, narratively speaking, is that this separation was supposedly intentional. It's said that Allah, God, deliberately kept them apart to minimize temptation, to prevent moral corruption.
Makes sense. Keep them separate.
Right. The wisdom seems clear. But as the story goes, just being physically distant, well, it wasn't enough to stop desire creeping in, and that's the exact moment the narrative tells us that Shaytan makes his entrance.
Ah, okay. But not as some, scary figure.
No, that's the key. He appears disguised as a strikingly handsome man.
So he blends in.
Exactly. He goes to the tribe with the beautiful women, and he doesn't barge in. He just asks for work.
Smooth.
Very. He's welcomed in,
Yeah.
accepted. And then, bit by bit, very deliberately, he starts crafting this ultimate distraction.
Oh.
Sound.
Wow. Just sound itself.
Think about it. A world that had literally never heard rhythm before. Nothing like it. No instruments, no organized sound.
Just nature, maybe speech.
Precisely. So Shaytan doesn't just make a noise. He introduces novelty. He crafts the very first drum. A simple beat. Then, the story goes, clanging metal. Different texture, different resonance, and then mesmerizing notes from a horn. Melody enters the picture.
That must have been mind-blowing for them, the sheer newness of it all.
Absolutely overwhelming, sensory overload. And each new sound, it wasn't just heard, it captivated. It drew people in.
Okay.
First curiosity, then small gathering.
Which then snowball.
Exactly. Those gatherings become parties, and people get so engrossed in this new thing, this sensory hit, that they start forgetting divine commands, their purpose.
It's the classic distraction tactic, right? Divert attention.
Precisely. But he didn't stop there. Shaytan apparently understood the power of making something regular, a habit.
So he formalized it.
Kind of institutionalized it, yeah.
Yeah.
He set aside a special evening every week, just for music, for festivity. And some narrations, interestingly, suggest this might be the origin of the whole Saturday night party idea.
Huh. That's quite a claim.
It is. And then comes maybe the most predictable but also chilling part, the allure, the forbidden aspect.
Right. The other tribe, the pious one.
Yeah. Some of the youth from that tribe, the one with the handsome men, they start hearing about these parties to get curious. They start sneaking over just to see.
And what do they find?
Exactly what you'd expect from the setup. Stunning women, these new hypnotic beats. The whole atmosphere is just thick with desire. The narration uses the phrase like moths to a flame. It just pulls them in.
That speaks volumes about, human nature, curiosity, the appeal of the forbidden.
Definitely. Novelty, beauty, rhythm. It's a potent combination.
So they're drawn in. They see this scene. What happens next? Does it stay secret?
Well, that's the turning point. It leads to questions. The young men start openly asking amongst themselves, maybe challenging the elders.
Like, hold on a second.
Yeah. Why can't we mix with our cousins? What's actually so wrong with them? Why are there all these restrictions anyway?
Ah, the why question. That's always powerful. Challenging the boundaries.
It's fundamental, isn't it? Whenever a line is drawn, there's this inherent human urge to poke at it, to ask why it's there. And Shaytan, in this story, he's not depicted as forcing anyone. He just amplifies that existing curiosity.
Feeds the doubt.
Exactly. Plants seeds of doubt, makes them question the wisdom behind the rules, makes the forbidden seem, well, attractive, harmless even.
It's subtle manipulation, not coercion.
Precisely. It's about making them want to cross the line themselves, sowing that little bit of distrust in the divine plan. It's incredibly effective.
And so they do cross the line.
That's the culmination.
Yeah.
Fueled by this doubt, this engineered desire, this charged atmosphere, they make a choice, a moment of collective rebellion. And they cross those boundaries, physically, by mixing, and morally.
So those secret visits, the sneaking over.
They escalate. They turn into open parties. No more hiding, everyone mixing freely.
And the progression is laid out quite clearly in the narrations, right?
Very clearly. It's presented as a direct chain of events. The introduction of music, the tool, leads to dancing. The dancing, the atmosphere, leads to seduction. And seduction then leads, inevitably in this context, to zina. Illicit relations, adultery.
Wow, so the claim is pretty stark.
It is. According to these accounts, two major sins essentially enter the human story right here in a foundational way. One is illicit sexual relations. The other is music, specifically framed as a tool for manipulation for leading people astray.
It's important to stress that point, right? It's not necessarily saying all music is bad, but about its use here.
Yes, that's a crucial distinction in many interpretations. The focus is on music being weaponized, engineered with a specific malicious intent to distract, entice, and ultimately lead towards transgressing divine boundaries.
Okay, so we've walked through this ancient narrative, sound used as bait, basically. But the really compelling thing, for me at least, is how this resonates today. I mean, the vulnerabilities exploited back then, our responses to sound, to novelty, to social pressure, aren't those things still being targeted, maybe even more effectively now?
Well, absolutely. If we step back from the specific narrative for a moment and look at it as maybe an allegory or even just an ancient observation about human psychology, the parallels to modern science and society are, well, they're quite striking.
So let's talk about the brain. If this ancient story warns about sound's power, what does modern neuroscience actually tell us? Does it back this up?
It really does in a fascinating way. Neuroscientists have mapped this out pretty clearly. Music isn't just processed as sound. It takes a very direct route to our limbic system.
That's the emotional center, right? Motivation, memory.
Exactly. And critically, it triggers dopamine pathways. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It's strongly linked to motivation, craving, even addiction.
So that catchy hook in a song, that beat drop, it's literally designed to make us want more.
Precisely. It can create a kind of compulsion loop. It's engineered often to bypass our rational filters and hit that primal reward system directly. Which sounds an awful lot like how a simple novel sound in the ancient story supposedly bypassed divine commands, doesn't it? Tapping into something deeper, more immediate.
That's a really powerful link. And it makes you think about modern media, especially things like, well, TikTok is the obvious example.
Oh, absolutely. Think about the sonic structure of those platforms.
It's not just the visuals.
Not at all. Those ultra-short audio loops, the specific ways the beat hits or the melody ramps up, it's all meticulously optimized. It's designed for maximum emotional impact in minimum time. That scroll-stopping effect. Sound is a huge part of that.
Leveraging our brain's reaction to keep us hooked.
To keep us engaged, scrolling, perhaps perpetually distracted from, deeper thought or reflection. It feels like a very modern version of using sound to create an environment that subtly shapes behavior.
And it's not just social media, is it? Marketing uses this constantly.
All the time. That jingle you can't get out of your head, the background music in a store designed to make you feel relaxed, maybe to linger longer, spend more.
Yeah.
These are carefully curated soundscapes. They're built to influence your mood and your decisions, often below the level of conscious awareness, bypassing the rational mind again.
Even in politics, maybe. Rallies, anthems.
Definitely. Music and specific sounds are incredibly powerful tools for building group cohesion, whipping up emotion in a crowd. Sometimes that shared emotional wave can override individual critical thinking. Sound has this raw power to unify or, yes, to subtly manipulate, even without complex narratives attached.
It reminds me of what sociologists like Neil Postman warned about, that idea of amusing ourselves to death.
Exactly. Postman's warning was precisely that a society could become so saturated with entertainment, so focused on feeling good, that it loses the capacity or the will for serious discourse, for engaging with difficult truths.
So entertainment itself becomes the distraction, not through force, but through sheer allure.
Right. It raises that uncomfortable question. Can constant amusement, driven by sophisticated sound and visuals, actually divert us from deeper realities?
So really, whether you take the ancient narration literally or as a powerful metaphor.
The core message holds true. Sound has this incredible, almost primal power over our hearts and minds. That seems undeniable.
Which brings us back to a really fundamental question, I think, for everyone listening. In this world just saturated with engineered sound, with algorithmically chosen trends, are we truly in the driver's seat when it comes to our own desires or choices? Or are we, maybe more often than we realize, being subtly nudged? Guided by rhythms, by beats, by sounds designed to push certain buttons, maybe leading us places we wouldn't consciously go.
It's a sobering thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is every new pleasure, every shiny new trend that pops up, is it genuinely harmless? Or could it be, a modern echo of that ancient trap, something designed to look appealing but maybe distract us from something more important? So, wrapping up this deep dive today, let's just quickly recap the journey. We explored those ancient narrations suggesting music and entertainment weren't just accidents, but perhaps introduced as tools. Shaytan leveraging human curiosity, beauty, sound to entice people towards sin.
And then we saw how modern science kind of validates the core premise that sound, music, media can powerfully influence our brains, our impulses, our desires.
So the big takeaway, really, is about awareness. The importance of critically questioning the forces that might be shaping what we want, what we pursue, not just blindly following the beat.
Right. Being conscious consumers, not just of products, but of sounds and experiences.
I really hope this deep dive has given you, our listeners, maybe a new perspective, a different lens to look through when you think about entertainment, temptation, and sound. Before we finish, I want to leave you with a question, something to mull over. Do you personally believe that music itself is purely neutral, just a tool where its impact depends entirely on how it's used? Or do you think it carries some kind of inherent weight, spiritual, moral, something independent of human intention? Really think about that. Why or why not? There's no single right answer, but the reflection itself is valuable. Okay, that's all for this deep dive. Until next time, stay aware, keep thinking critically, and always remember that old saying, not everything that glitters is gold.